What's good, bro? Let's play a game. All the pieces are set. Kings and queens will connect long as Jesus sees the regrets.
Breathe and stretch. I see no reason to be vexed. They dealing with seasoned vets. It's your boy Bobby Crillz, and right now you're tuned into the HOTC Podcast, and today I got a very, very special episode. This is a brother that I've actually been trying to get on this podcast for a while, but our schedules haven't aligned. This is a brother that I've known since, I want to say, 94, 93, 94, around that time. Growing up in Watson Avenue, he was a Stockton kid. I've seen this man develop from a young, wild youth to a very powerful, very determined, very inspirational man. I seen this dude literally just change his life overnight, you know what I mean? And this is somebody that's very powerful, very influential in our city, and has done some amazing things, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about my man Edison Jaquez. Edison, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Man, thank you for having me, brother.
You already know, man.
Totally appreciate it, man.
It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about doing this podcast for a while. I think we've been planning for like 2 years, dude.
We've been going back and forth. I'm like, let's make it happen.
Yeah, but it's always been something. You know, you've been somebody that's been I don't even know a word to describe it, but I guess influential. It's just watching you grind, watching you wake up every day and spread a positive message and just show people that life is good, man. You're really good at that. You know what I mean? And I wake up daily and I see your status updates, and it's always something good, and it's always something to keep you going. You know, so from me to you, I just want to say I appreciate your being, brother. Just being who you are and everything you bring to the world. We need more people like you. You know what I mean? So in this interview today, I want to dive into your story because I know you personally, and I've seen the change personally. I've seen you go through so many stages of your life, but I want the people to know who you are and you know, dive into Edison. You know what I mean? And we're going to get there.
Yeah,
so.
no, listen, we're going to go deep today.
Yes, we are,
Full
man.
transparency,
Yes,
we're going to go deep, man. Before we start, I want to say, you know, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Definitely want to give you your flowers. Like you say, you know, we grew up together, so I've seen your growth as well.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I feel like you and I connect so much deeper is being the best fathers that we could be.
Absolutely.
You know, and the same way, you know, you see my stuff, I see your stuff, and I'm like, man, he's with his kids, he's having fun, and I think that's priceless. You know?
I think that's been the best thing that's ever happened to me, was the fact that I had children. Honestly, if it wasn't for them, I would not know where the hell I'd be at right now. It's crazy.
Well, I have a deep story with my kids too, so
we're going to get there.
That's why I wanted to make sure I told you that. But, you know, I just want to give you your flowers, man. I know that for some people, you know, they look at it and they could be like, you know, well, he's just doing interviews, and I think it's deeper than that.
Oh, it is.
You know, for you to be able to take the time to interview people, you know, hold space for them, be able to, you know, spread the word and have other people be inspired by the people you bring up here, I have to give you your flowers.
It's a beautiful thing because we're documenting legacies. You know what I mean? Like, the show's not so much about me. It's about me bringing light to people that need to have light shined on them. People that have done things that I have interacted with in my life and have made an impact in my life. So, you know, that's what this show's about. And honestly, in 40 years, as long as YouTube is still available, you know, your kids are going to be able to look at this. Your grandkids are going to be able to look at it and be like, oh, that's my grandfather. That's my dad. That's this. And I think that's what's the most important thing about this. It's the bigger picture. It's legacy. Life's about legacy. And you have quite a legacy, my brother. So let's dive into it. You know what I mean?
Let's get right to it. I'm ready.
All right. So the first question that I'm going to ask is, where were you born? I like to dive into this question because it tells a lot about the person and, you know, their beginnings. So where were you born?
Yeah, so I was born in the Dominican Republic.
What city? You know?
The capital.
What was it called?
La Capital.
La Capital. That's the actual name of the city? Okay.
Yeah. Came here at the age of 7, so, you know, when it comes to my memory of Dominican Republic, it was just going back on you know, vacation in the summer.
Okay.
Really don't have such a deep history there.
Yeah.
Because I came at such a young age.
Yeah.
My family's still there, you know, my father's side. They still there, but when it comes to my culture, it was more about when I came here to America, you know, being able to kind of like fit into this culture. Yeah.
So you came at the age of 7. It's hard to tell at that age because you're so young, but did it feel like a culture shock at the time?
Oh, big time.
Okay.
Big time.
Because you went from like tropical island, you know, I mean, DR is I want to say it's thriving now, right?
Yeah.
It's doing very well.
Yeah.
I don't know about the 90s. Maybe it was a little bit harder, stuff like that. Do you remember things like that or no?
I would say when it comes to the culture shock, it was very, very challenging. Coming here not knowing the English language, right? Not knowing people, trying to make friends, trying to fit into how things, was here. For me, one of the biggest challenges were just trying to be able to connect to other people.
So you came here from DR. Spanish was your only language at the time?
Only language.
All right. And do you remember what year this was?
93.
93. So I met you not too long after that.
Like 90, between 90 and 93.
Okay.
My little sister was born in 93.
Okay.
So it was around that.
Was
area.
she born here?
She was born here, yeah.
Okay.
She was the only one that was born here.
All right. So I met you a little bit after that.
Yes.
I want to say it was definitely around that time.
Yeah.
So you picked up English pretty quickly.
I would say broken English.
I remember you like in the Stockton and all that. Like you was running around. You was talking English.
Well, I think it's like a two-sided for me, right? Because even though it was a culture shock, because my parents had Section 8.
Yeah.
And we were on the waiting list for the Stockton project and
the housing.
There. I think being around that environment, right? So quickly.
You picked it up fast.
I had no choice.
Yeah.
I feel like I had no choice to learn, to be able to communicate with my friends after
Yeah,
we became
yeah,
friends,
yeah.
to be able to, just be able to fit in.
Gotcha.
I had to kind of dive in there, even though sometimes they weren't even understanding me. I still had to try to make it work.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. You would like trial under fire. They just threw you in there. Here, learn how to survive. So was it the Stockton Building that you first moved into, or?
So we first moved in with my aunt in Brooklyn.
Okay.
We was there for a couple months, and then that's when my mother, and my father applied for Section 8. We came to New Jersey with my grandma on Fayette Street.
Okay.
I was there for like a nice year. And then, we got the
housing.
We got housing approved, and then we all moved into the Stockton.
And the Stockton has been a legendary tale for a lot of people ever since.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your parents a little bit. Both of them are Dominican.
Both of them Dominican.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of fields were they in? Growing up, raising you.
My father owned a grocery store. My mom was a stay-home mom.
Okay.
They met very young. I believe my father was about maybe like 17.
Okay.
My mom was about like 15.
Okay.
They met in their own neighborhood. Same kind of family background. All in the capital.
Yeah.
Family knew each other, so it's kind of like growing up in the same neighborhood, seeing that your little girl and the young kid.
It's a lot of like they were destined to be together. I got you.
So so what I remember from the 7 years I was in the Dominican Republic was more like my father always working.
Okay. A hardworking man.
Hardworking man. Leave early, come home late.
Got you.
And since I was the oldest, it kind of fell on me to try to help my mom more out around the house.
You were the man when he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Got you.
And I think for me, just being transparent, that was a very challenging thing to do at a very young age, to have that pressure on me to try to be the man of the house when he wasn't there.
Got you.
So,
that's tough.
So,
and that helped your development a lot.
Yeah.
Character building for sure.
Yeah, I think it got me to a point where I had to kind of grow up fast.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. Knowing the trajectory of your life, that kind of makes sense now that we're talking about it. So, your parents were born in DR.
Yeah.
You came at an early age, and where were you? Pretty much raised primarily in Perth Amboy.
Yeah,
right?
Perth Amboy. Yeah.
Stockton Building. Let's talk a little bit about the Stockton Building. How was your experience growing up there, man? I know I lived around the block from the Stockton Building, but I was always around everybody. We all played sports and stuff like that, and it was a different time. You was a wild little boy back then. I remember that. A bunch of y'all were. Rest in peace to Richie. Richie, the GOAT, man. Rest in Richie. Man. All the soldiers over there that we don't have anymore. But the Stockton Building kids were some wild boys back then.
Yeah, man. As you're speaking, I'm thinking, right, and the only thing that comes to my mind now is like, if you can make it in the Stockton, you can make it anywhere.
I believe that. I believe that 100%, bro. Stockton kids were soldiers, man. They were different, bro. They were different. Backs against the wall, life was rough, man. Life was rough. The 90s in the Stockton, Watson, Smith Street area, that whole area was just different. For anybody that lived it, you could understand what I'm talking about. It just felt different. You could go there and kind of still get a little bit of a vibe, but it ain't the same. But Stockton was rough, man. So growing up, it was a little hard, right? As far as like survival.
Yeah, I would say every day you woke up, you was in survival mode.
I believe that.
I believe that, at the same time, for some of us, that gave us the strength to become who we are today.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for some, it took them down a different path.
Yeah.
And I will say this, man, because you and I are fathers, I I can't even expect what our kids would do in that situation or how they would handle that situation. So I'm kind of glad that we had to go through that and we experienced that.
Yeah.
So we kind of could be able to tell them what that experience was like that, so they won't have to experience it themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, just to piggyback of your question, man, the Stockton, I would say not only for me, for my friends, man, it made us who we are today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, was it rough? Yes. You know, at the moment we didn't see it like this, but now that I'm in the mental health field and I'm a big advocate of mental health, like that was a lot of trauma. A lot of trauma
that a lot of those people still haven't healed from. There's not a lot of therapy being had. There's not a lot of conversations. I can't wait to dive into this because I could already see you're ready to explode with this conversation.
Yeah.
So trauma for sure. And I believe that. And that's something that a lot of people in the inner cities face is a lot of mental health issues due to some of the stuff that they saw growing up. And you've kind of transitioned into that field, which we'll get into in a little bit. Yeah. So just to put into perspective, you know, Stockton Building played a major role in where he's at today.
Yeah. I will have to give a lot of credit to, you know, being in that environment. Yeah. To kind of open up my eyes to bigger things. Yeah. And for a long time, I speak about this in my book. For a long time, I thought that was all I knew. Yeah. And that was all I needed.
What do you mean? Elaborate a little bit.
In regards to, I want to. This is cool. Like my friends are here. Yeah, you know, we do fun things.
That world was everything.
I don't need to go to New York. Don't take me on a trip. Don't take me on vacation. Like leave me here
in the Stockton. And I'm
safe here.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't safe. Yeah. My mind said I'm safe here.
It was home
because that was all I knew. And I think that, you know, as we get deeper in this conversation, I feel like because we're comfortable in that spot, we really can't see nothing else.
That's deep. Think about that. So that's deep.
The outside world is kind of closed off because this is our safe space, even though it's not safe.
And that's every hood in America. That's not just the Stockton.
Yes.
That's hood mentality. And I'm not frowning upon it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that we get caught up in our own little world, our own little block, our own little four corners, that we're so comfortable in it. We learned how to survive here so easily. Yeah. You know, that an outsider would come in there and they'd panic. They wouldn't know what to do. You'd be like, oh, he's not from around here. You could tell immediately.
You could tell
from the jump.
The minute somebody stepped out the car, you'd be like, oh, out of town.
They not from here. And out-of-towners were not safe.
At all.
Out-of-towners were not safe. So, you know, the Stockton Building was an amazing place, man. Just from a memory standpoint, you know, I've got amazing memories from there. I used to buy my back to school clothes there. There was a lady that had an apartment in there. She had all the gear. Yep. And then, you know, my first kiss was in the Stockton. So it's like, you know, it's Stockton. It molded a lot of us in that area. But let's move on a little bit into middle school. Middle school, Stockton had got knocked down sometime in, I believe it was, I don't remember the year. But I know it was vacant for a while. We were already in middle school when it happened.
Yes.
We were in McGinnis together. We were in Shell School together.
McGinnis School, Shell School together. Yep.
So let's talk about middle school for you. How was middle school?
I would say for me, middle school was still part of my journey that I was still trying to figure out. Yeah. You know, for me, it was more like, now I got friends. Now, you know, now I'm a little bit, you know, cool.
You're adapting.
Now I'm hanging out with the people I grew up with that I go home to every day in the same building, same floor. Like, this is my peoples. Yeah. So for me, it was more like trying to hide my identity with my environment.
All right. So now that you say something like that, let's elaborate on that comment a little bit, because growing up in that environment, you were kind of forced to be a certain type of way.
Yes.
Were you battling an identity crisis at that time because of who you truly were in your heart and in your soul?
100%. And the most concerning thing to me, looking at it now, is I didn't even know it. I was in denial.
That's crazy.
That I was being somebody that I was really not, to be able to fit in.
Because you thought that's what you had to do, right? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Please, let's talk about it.
I really, really said to myself during that time, in those times, in those moments, during every choice I made, every behavior I made, that if I did it my way, it wouldn't be accepted.
I can understand that. And if you were around and you've seen it, you can understand that. And there's a lot of people that are going to watch this interview and know exactly what we're talking about and know exactly the times that we're talking about. Yeah. And this is kind of like where you could pinpoint the difference of who Edison is today and who Edison was back then. It was wild. The transition that you made because of that it's insane, dude. Like I don't know too many people that have changed as much as you, but for the better.
I will go back to what you said when we first started, right? Where if it wasn't for my kids, I don't think I'd be sitting here talking to you.
Yeah, I believe that.
You know, I feel like for me, and this is deeper. I mean, a little later in my story, my kids, especially my first son Armani, changed my life.
Yeah.
When he was born, for me, it was like, if I don't make this change, I'm done. I'm gonna fall right into that same category of everybody else that I saw growing up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not be an active father, and I'm gonna just be living, you know, in regret my whole life.
Yeah. How old is your son now?
He's 16.
Okay.
He's 16, and my youngest one is 7.
And you had him when you were how old? The 16-year-old.
It was he was born in 2008, so I was still in college. Maybe like in.
This is right around the time you really started changing.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
2008, he was born. March 5th, 2008.
March 5th. I love that date, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that, but March 5th was a very important date for me. I had a record label called March 5th and everything.
Wow. Look at that.
That's crazy.
March
That's
5th, 2008.
crazy.
And when I tell you, man, we'll dig a little deep into that, man, that boy's special to a different level. Man, and you think about it, right? Like, I'm at worst, without him even knowing it, he got me through some stuff.
He wasn't even on this planet yet. He was just conceived and changed your life.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
And it's like, for me, man, even going back to the middle school, my identity crisis, trying to figure out who I am, you know, doing things in the outside that in the inside I know wasn't right, you know, being able to live with that, go to sleep every night, wake up every morning, like, I'm making choices that's not really who I am, but I'm struggling with trying to really figure out who I am.
Let me ask you a question. A lot of the things that you did growing up, you know, out of pressure, I guess you could say, because it comes to peer pressure.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it.
Peer pressure is real.
Would you say that they were, you know, bad decisions or just bad thought process?
I would say a little bit of both, 100%.
A little bit of both.
You know, bad decision, bad thought process, not thinking of the consequences, not thinking who I'm hurting, not thinking of my loved ones. It was more like
the effect you had on. You're not thinking about the effect you had on your family and your friends.
Oh, it was, you know, to be honest, Bobby, it was more like a selfish act, where I was just thinking me.
Now, would you say you were ignorant to that idea, to the fact that you didn't realize it was a selfish act?
Big time.
Okay, and that comes with the realization of that came with the growth and everything.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into high school now, because in high school, were you on the same path, would you say, or it was starting to change a little bit? Were you still battling with that identity crisis in high school, or were you starting to kind of like make your way out of it?
I think I still struggled in high school, just for the fact that, you know, I was still hanging with the same people, right? The environment was the same, the mentality was the same. I would say I matured a little bit from middle school to high school, but not enough.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because I was still making bad choices. I was still doing certain things that just wasn't aligning with who I was.
Yeah.
In high school, kind of was more like, for me, it was just fun.
Yeah.
Right? Even the educational part. And I shared this in my book, right? My father said to me, I just want you to graduate high school. Whatever you do after that is on you. Just graduate high school.
Yeah.
That will make me happy. And I wasn't able to accomplish that goal. And
you didn't graduate?
Nah. I had to go to summer school.
Okay.
Which you know, I talk very deep about that, because that also was a big transition for me.
Yeah.
Not being able to accomplish that one goal that my father wanted me to accomplish.
Yeah.
So I went to summer school, got my high school diploma through summer school. You know, and how I came to go to college was that I went to my guidance counselor and I said, I want to go to college. She's like, I don't know if your college material, you know, your grades, your behavior.
You're not disciplined enough to really do it.
Everything that I'm looking at paper-wise is
showing me,
otherwise. And it's funny, right, because as she's saying that to me, I'm looking behind her. There's a big sign that says Berkeley College. I'm like, I want to go there.
Yeah.
I'm saying it to myself. I'm not saying it to her.
Yeah.
Because I'm already kind of like, you know, blocked her out. She's
already telling you negative stuff. You're like,
which you know, Bobby, I want to take it back. You know, and I don't know how many people experience this. I'm sure a lot of people experience this. I've been told for a long time when I was younger, due to my behavior, that I wasn't going to be anything in life.
Yeah.
So that kind of confirmed what I was being told as a young kid. And yes, I always take accountability. I always take ownership of this. 99% of the time was because of my behavior.
Yeah.
And what I was doing and my actions. So I'm not going to sit here and kind of blame other people. But yes, I was always told, you're not going to be nothing. You know, you this, you that. It was always negative stuff. It was not too much inspiring.
No encouragement.
Yeah. You know, go to college, be this, be that. It was more like, yeah, you're going to end up like everybody else around here. So that kind of always stood in the back of my mind, like, am I really going to just be a nobody?
They treated you like a number.
You know, am I going to be just a number? Am I just going to be, you know, where this is my legacy? I had no legacy. I had no effect on people around me. And just the fact that she confirmed that to me kind of put a spark in me to say, you know what, I got to be better.
Yeah.
It stops here. So even though I was struggling in college, freshman, sophomore, junior year, my senior year, summer school, at the end, something came inside of me and it sparked.
You mean high school? High
High school.
Yeah.
That said to me, it's time for you to get it together.
Yeah. So you graduated high school.
The next week, I went to Berkeley College in Woodbridge.
Was it that fast?
Yeah. I graduated in 2004.
Okay.
I entered school right. I was in school right away.
Okay.
Because I was so hungry to prove to myself
that you could do
that
it.
I could do it.
So it seems like Berkeley and the birth of your son was probably the transition that you needed. Because I remember, I still see you. You're a big advocate for Berkeley College. You go there all the time. I believe they got you on the Hall of Fame there.
I'm the president of the Alumni Association.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've been in there, last year I got nominated. So I'm the president of the Alumni Association. 2019 I won the Alumni of the Year.
Okay.
Wall of Fame. You know, so I do a lot with them, and even that's a testimony of itself.
Yeah.
Because they barely gave me a chance because I failed the requirements to be able to even attend the school. They put me on probation for 6 months.
Wow. So even when you started, you were kind of like
on probation right from the beginning.
Jeez.
If you don't in 6 months prove to us that you could do this, bye-bye.
You're gonna have to go.
You're gonna have to go.
So what did you study in college?
Business management.
Business management.
So I have a bachelor's in business management.
Okay. How long did it take you to get your bachelor's?
4 years.
Okay, so you did the 4-year program at Berkeley.
Program.
So you went from summer school, not graduating on stage, to Berkeley College and getting his bachelor's in 4 years, just like every other person that he graduated with. And they counted him out. So during that time in Berkeley is when you had your son, correct?
Yes, in 2008.
So let's talk about this transition. You went from high school, you know, adolescence, from, you know, somebody that was kind of struggling just to get by, and you playing outside a little bit, you know what I mean? And you got to Berkeley, you had the 6 months probation, you got it together eventually, and your son, you and your wife conceived your son.
Yes.
What happened there?
You know, that college was a very, very challenging time for me.
Yeah.
And even though all odds were set against me, I was still pushing through.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to tell the audience, people that's listening. You know, when life knock you down, just get back up.
Yeah.
You know, if it knock you down 7 times, get up 8 times. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and I'm going to tell you guys why I'm saying this, but don't let your circumstances, don't let what people think of you, don't let situation that you're going through, hard times that you're going through, be the reason why you give up.
Yeah.
At the end, there's going to be a breakthrough. And for anybody that's not believing that or not seeing that yet, you're looking at someone that had to go through that and came out at the other side. So fighting that 6 month probation, right? Trying to make it through college, or even trying to fit in, right? Everybody there Caucasian, right? Not that many Spanish, not that many African Americans, right? So you're fighting that, right? Which we can go so
You're
deep.
a minority already.
We go so deep into that if we want to. So just fighting that, right, and trying to get through that, right? 2008, March 5th, 2008, my son is born. And it's like, what do I do now, right? Like who am I? You're talking about the identity, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm a father. Like my father's an amazing person, but what did I learn from him as a young kid?
Yeah.
Always working. Even when we came here, he had 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, and I always give credit to my mentor, Bobby Nickerson, and you probably know him from the Stockton, the lady that. He was the coach, basketball coach.
Yeah.
Since I was 12 years old, that man came into my life and has been in my life ever since.
This is it Derek?
Derek
Foster and them? Yeah. Shout out to them, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
man, listen.
Wow.
Man,
tell him out one more time.
Hey, Bobby, man, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for believing in me when nobody did, man. Get you a mentor. That's
awesome.
Man, he's the reason why I started my own mentoring program called B-Men Mentoring.
Wow.
Focusing on at-risk youth. The kids that nobody wanted to deal with.
Let's dive into this. All right. So you got your bachelor's. Your son was born.
Let's backtrack a little bit. I don't want to miss an important point.
Yeah.
Got my bachelor's. Couldn't find a job. Was struggling financially. Did what most people would do. Went back to what I knew. What was easy?
Streets.
How do I get easy money?
So you went back to the streets after the bachelor's?
After having a bachelor's. Struggling financially. Didn't know what to do. Went back. Tried to make easy money. You go back to what's comfortable.
Yeah.
People go back to what they know. That's why it's very important to understand who you are and where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, you'll always go back to where you was at.
Jesus. Say that again?
If you don't know where you're going, you'll always go back to where you was at. And that's what happened to me.
Message.
So I accomplished a bigger goal than what my father set for me to accomplish, right? He wanted a high school diploma. I gave him a bachelor's degree.
How did he feel about that one? Because I know you did. You were upset because you couldn't get the high school degree.
To this day,
the high school diploma.
I was so upset. I even wrote in my book about it.
About that?
About me not being able to graduate on stage with my friends.
Yeah, that hurts. I didn't graduate, so I know.
Me having to go to summer school.
Yeah.
And then being told that I'm not college material. I wrote about that in my book.
Wow.
And I connected that to me in the Stockton as a young kid running around being told you'll never amount to anything.
Yeah. So what was your father's reaction?
Man, to this day, they are so proud of me. They can't believe it. I think that my parents struggle understanding what I do.
It's hard to understand what you do. Now that, you know what? Now that's the perfect segue into what we're going to get into, because you, my friend, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what Edison is or what his job title is, because you do so much. This is how I'm going to describe how I see Edison. I might be wrong, I might be right, but I think I'm pretty spot on. He's a public figure for sure. I want to say he's a semi-politician. Man. I think he doesn't want to dive into it, but he's kind of pulled into the world a little bit. Maybe.
Accurate. Some accuracy there.
He's a public speaker, motivational speaker, very positive life coach, and just an advocate for mental health.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that.
Yeah.
And just I don't want to call it entrepreneur, because I don't feel like that's even the right word to describe it, but it's in that space where you just find ways to make it. And I don't know what to call it. You know what I mean? I don't think there is a word for that. There might be, but I might be wrong.
I would say passion.
It's got to be passion. You're driven by passion for sure. The fact that you wake up every day and you share with the world something that's going to bring something positive to somebody's life, even if it gets no response, one response, it doesn't matter. You do it every day. The consistency's there. Yeah. You're very consistent. You're very disciplined. And let's dive into some of these endeavors that you got going on. You're an author. How did I not mention that? I got 3 books sitting here. He's got his 5th one on the way.
I'm also.
Where do you want to start?
I'm also a licensed drug and alcohol counselor.
Okay.
Just got my license for that.
What made you want to get into that?
Space? Just growing up and seeing so many people struggle, right? Broken families, seeing personal friends, go through it, still going through it, seeing people die from it.
Yeah.
I think that what for me personally, not only being impacted by it with family members and friends, but I think just being able to connect, right, to those people and saying, listen, I'm here for you. To be able to give them hope when they feel hopeless.
Yeah.
Made me go into that field, right? And, people know that's a very tough field to get into. You lose people in that field. You make connections. You also see people come out of it and become amazing citizens.
Yeah.
But, it has that stigma, like mental health, right, where it's like,
That's the kind of work that you take home with you.
Yeah.
It weighs on you heavily. It weighs on your personality. It weighs on your family. Your family's going to feel the brunt of that too.
Yeah.
How's your family handle that?
I'm very good in setting boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm very good in knowing, when I'm home, I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm a father, I'm a husband. And then when I'm at work, I'm a counselor, mental health advocate, all these other things. I make sure I separate.
That's a very good skill to have and be able
Yeah.
to shut off like that, because the type of work that you do, the type of people that you deal with,
it's hard to shut
it's
off.
very difficult. And especially when you have a heart, you have a really big heart, so you care for people and you wanna give them the shirt off your back, but you also have your own life at home. Yeah. So I know it's probably challenging for everybody in there.
And you know what I found out too, Bobby, in this journey of mine, this career, is that I came to a point where I understood that I can't work harder than my clients.
You can't?
I can't. I can't do the work for them.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
I can't work harder than them.
You can't want it more than them either.
I can't want it more than them.
Yeah.
Right? Once I understood that, then they created that balance where they say, you know what, okay, he's going to meet me where I'm at, but I got to put in the work.
Yeah.
He's not going to put in the work for me. And I think that's where the success rate comes from some clients.
Yeah.
And then it's also this, right, which is very, very challenging for families, for people struggling with substance and mental health, is that you have to be able to tell yourself that I could get through this. And you have to be able to also put in the work, and your words have to match your action.
Yeah.
I think that, we fall into where a lot of people are like, oh, I want the help and I got this, and then they don't show up to their appointment.
Yeah. They don't really want it.
So it's how bad do you want it? And the same token, are you willing to put in the work for it?
Yeah.
That's going to create that success.
And that's pretty much almost any endeavor you're chasing in life.
That's life.
All you got to do is show up, dude. Just show up. Just like the gym, they say, right? The hardest part is getting there. But once you're there, you're there, And even if you work at 90%, you're still putting 90% in. It's consistency.
There's some clients that I have to go as deep as 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time, because it's so hard for them.
That's a very dark place these people are in.
It's so hard for them. And the thing is that it also impacts their families and loved ones. It's not only them.
I've experienced it.
Right?
Yeah, I've experienced it.
I mean, I think we all have. I think people watching this have. I think people watching this still probably are going through it
right now. Yeah,
right? Because, think about it. When that has a chokehold on a person, they're not thinking about the loved ones.
Yeah.
Right? They're not thinking about who they're hurting and what they're doing to get what they got to get.
It's all about the next high.
It's all about the next high. And sometimes you don't even get that because you don't make it to the next high.
Man, drugs.
To go a little deeper. I mean,
no, drugs are. It's an epidemic, bro. It's a problem.
And for me, right, I could be very transparent in saying this, right. To this day, right, I'm still processing, and it goes back to the immaturity. It goes back to the identity. It goes back to that survival. Every day waking up trying to make it. Where at one point I was damaging people as well. Right? Like, I don't want to ignore that. I don't want to sit here and say I'm a counselor, clap for me. No. At one point, I was on the other side.
Yeah.
And I was out there, hurting these people and doing certain things where these people probably weren't able to go home to their kids or weren't able to really live the life they want to.
Yeah.
Because of the environment that we're in, right? It's like you don't think about the damage you're doing to others and who you're hurting. You're thinking about, I got to pay the next bill.
You need the bag. It's all about the bag.
I need the bag. I got to buy that car,
right?
That fit. So, I come to a point to understand that both sides played a part in my life.
Yeah.
Right? But I am grateful, and I always would thank God that I was able to get to the other side where now I'm helping people and not hurting them.
Now, I'm assuming, the way you just broke that down, that kind of led us into turn a mess into a message.
It led us to this.
Oh, is it this one? Because the titling of this is incredible.
Yes.
First off, let's dive into, all right, this is the first one?
First baby.
Second chance is the first one. Turning a mess into a message is exactly what he just talked about.
Yes.
And then we got the children's book,
Believe in Your
Dreams. How did you get into writing books? What was the idea behind that?
Man, I got to give credit to my boy Marvin. We was having a conversation and he was like, "Man, you should write a book." I'm like, "Write a book? Like,
yeah.
Why should I write a book for it?" Right? And I ran with it, right? So I started kind of telling friends and families. Some people were like, "That's hard." Like,
yeah.
Who's gonna read it?
Was it really as hard as you thought?
No. I think it was more mental.
Yeah.
It was more how much did I believe in myself.
Yeah.
That I could do it. And I think, even to this day when I talk to people, when I do any speaking on my books and how to become an author, I tell people like you have to just start.
Yeah.
If you're gonna sit there and be like, who's gonna buy it? How much money I'm gonna make for it?
Just write the book first.
Write the book, then worry about the rest.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just being able to know that I had a story.
Yeah.
And someone, even if one person read that story, I was good with that.
Well, now I have all 3 in my library.
Yeah.
So, and I have a bookshelf in my room. So that's all
listen,
right there.
and I want your feedback on all 3 of them, and you'll see the same way, you know, we're talking here, you'll see how I went from this to that to this. And,
Gotcha.
they all go together, right? Because even, you know, thinking about this one, right, the title, Turning a Mess into a Message.
Hold on. Let's get a brief synopsis on all of them. Let's start with the first one. Let's start with the first one. Brief synopsis.
So a second chance, life lessons, turning to living dreams. Talk more about my life story, right?
Yeah.
Coming here from the Dominican Republic, my struggles, right? My journey in the Stockton Street projects.
Okay.
You know, having a mentor, still making bad choices, graduating college, going to jail, coming out, and being able to have a second chance.
Gotcha.
Like, that digs deep into who I am, right?
Gotcha.
Turning a mess into a message talks more into the audience to let you know and to know my side of the story of I was a mess. And I can't hide that. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat that. You spoke about it a little bit. I was a wild boy. I was a mess. I made some bad choices. I did some wrong things. But somehow, some way, God turned it into a message.
Amen. Damn. This is powerful, man. Are you guys listening to this?
God turned it into a message, right? Because now, I'm inspiring the youth, even adults. But when people read this book, right, and this is the thing about this book. I'm gonna show you something real quick. So the way I wrote this book, just so you can see.
In loving memory of Richard Price.
That's the one that we hold dear to our heart.
Oh yeah.
But just so you can see real quick, right? So this book, every chapter has questions, and you can't go to the next chapter until you answer the question. So what I did,
I want to share a story about Richie.
Yeah. What I did with this book was, right, I made it for the people. That's why it's a self-help book.
Yeah.
Right? It has some things about me, but it's mostly about you. So as you're reading this book,
it's kind of journaling as well.
Yes. And before you go to the next chapter, you have to answer these questions before you move on to the next chapter.
Gotcha.
So I made it where
it's like an interactive book.
Yes, and you dive deep into who you are.
That's pretty cool.
Like, I already told you my story here. I don't got to tell you my story again.
It's there.
I want to help you tell your story from your perspective of what's going on in your life that you're not moving forward.
Gotcha.
So that's what this book is all about. It's having you dig deep into who you are. Because if you honestly answer these questions, you'll find those answers.
Got you. Okay. So it's an interactive book that's
very,
going to help.
Very interactive.
You're going to learn a lot about yourself while reading this book.
And that was my only goal with this book.
Gotcha.
I didn't want to talk about me in this book. I wanted to be where it becomes about you. When you hold this book, you're like, I answer those questions. That's me. I wrote that answer.
That's pretty cool, bro. That's a great idea, honestly. That was a phenomenal idea. I'm going to dive into this one for sure. So let's talk about this one.
I talk a lot about Armani, right? My first son.
Yeah.
I have my Jacob, my nieces, right? So my nephews. So I always say, as a kid, did I believe in my dream, or did I let my dream just kind of go to waste, right? And this book talks about how I always dreamed of, and some people don't know this, right? I always wanted to be a firefighter.
Really? Okay. I didn't see that one.
Pastor Paul.
Okay. Shout out to Pastor Paul.
First Christmas event in the Stockton, right?
Yeah.
We had to make a line because, our parents didn't have it like that. And he made like a nice little dinner for us. He gave me a fire truck for my first Christmas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to save people.
Yeah.
I want to be able to be, looked at as a hero.
Yeah.
That was my whole...
That is one of the best careers to choose, by the way.
That was my whole... And shout out to every firefighter that's out there.
I know a few of them. They're amazing men.
Went to high school with.
Amazing men, bro.
God bless you guys, and you always, that you always are safe. But I talk about that in that book on how that was always my dream, right? But I let people around me kind of take that dream away from me. And I'm going to tell you why. Because every time I said I wanted to be a firefighter, people laughed. Every time I said I wanted to save people, people say, what you talking about?
Yeah.
Right? So I internalized that to the point where I'm like, oh, yeah, they're right. I can't be a firefighter.
That leads to a question. It's about the people around you, the surroundings. And it seems like you have gotten to the point where you have a lot of good people around you. And you kept a lot of good friends. A lot of the people that you deal with on a daily, some of your best friends I'm close with too. So shout out to Flip, by the way. Flip's my guy, bro. Love Brett. I did an interview with his son.
Yeah. I saw that. Yep.
Shout out to all
That's
of them.
24 years of friendship.
Great men, bro. These are all great men. Did it take a lot of filtering, or did people kind of filter themselves out, or
both? And you know what? Believe it or not, Bobby, to this day, I'm still filtering people.
Yeah. You still what?
I'm still filtering people out.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because guess what? People are going to come to you with their own
agendas.
Right? People want to work with you. They want to connect with you. They want to do this with you for their own little hitting agenda, right? So that's also something that I always take to God, right? In prayer and just manifesting good people around me and me continue doing the work that I'm doing so those good people can stay around me. But just to piggyback off that, yes, even as an adult, right, which I struggle as a young child doing this because I wanted everybody to be my friend. Yeah. I didn't care who you were, what you did. Now as an adult, it's like, do I really want this person around me when I'm trying to be the best father I can? Do I want these people around me when I'm trying to be the best husband I can? Yeah. Right? Do I want these people around me when I'm trying to be...
Does it add value to your life in any way?
And do I add value to them?
Exactly.
Right? Because it has to be vice versa. I don't want you guys thinking that it's all about
just taking, you.
No. Am I adding value to you? Yeah. Am I pouring into you the same way you're pouring into me? Yeah. Or am I pouring from an empty cup?
Got you.
Right? So I'm very selective of who I let in. Right? And it's funny because me and my wife always laugh about this, right? Like if you look at my Facebook, right, I reached the limit, 5,000 friends, and I have a whole bunch of followers, right? So from the outside looking in, you'll be like, oh, he has a lot of friends.
No, I understand how that works. It looks, from the surface, it looks like you're like the most popular, you got a million things going on, but deep down you really only got a handful, if that.
See where I'm going with this?
No, absolutely.
So it could look a certain way, but the reality is different.
Social media would have a lot of people, has a lot of people in a chokehold.
Oh, man.
And but one thing I do want to talk about with social media is that people don't realize that on social media, for the most part, unless it's somebody genuine like you who really doesn't have an agenda on there to like really portray something that you're not, but people only show you the wins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'll never see the losses.
No.
And people, if you're going to judge somebody by what their profile looks like or what their pictures look like, then you're going to have a hard time understanding who they are in real life, because there's people dealing with some demons, man. Yeah. And, online they look amazing, they look great, but they are, self-conscious, they're depressed. Yeah. There's so many issues going on. And that leads me into mental health. Do you think that plays a big part into the mental health stuff?
Big time.
Bro?
Social media became an illusion of who you want to be, not who you are.
It's nasty. Social media is nasty work, Edison. And at this point in my life, I'm 39, right? I've been on social media since MySpace. I've been grinding music since MySpace. And honestly, I'm at a point where I am disgusted. Yeah. Disgusted with social media, bro. I don't even want to post anymore. Yeah. Lately, I've been really distant with it. The whole game behind the marketing and the it's just too much, bro. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the mental health and stuff like that.
Man, I'm every day, man. I'm fighting and I'm working hard to just break that stigma, man, of mental health, right? Yeah. Of like where, and I'll give you a little story, right? Like, when we're younger, you hear your parents or family members saying, "He's crazy.
No,
he's weird.
Yeah,
get away from him." So you stay with that stigma. Yeah. Now everybody in the hood is saying he's crazy. Yeah. He's weird. The whole time the person's depressed.
It's got major issues.
The whole time he's dealing with anxiety, trauma, PTSD, things that probably happened to them when they were younger that they haven't been able to talk about.
They can't even talk about it.
You see what I'm saying?
No, absolutely, yeah.
So that label at a very young age, right?
Stays with them.
Stay with them. So but to go back to social media, right? It became such an illusion to this day that people on there are not even who they are. So you have to wear a mask 24/7.
Just so you can look like what you look like on social media, brother.
If you don't, the mask falls off.
Talk about it.
and now we're dealing with the real you.
Preach, brother.
Now we got to go a little deeper into who you really are.
Let's talk about it. Right? You know what I mean?
So at the end of the day, right, it's like, and I agree with you, social media has become very, very, this disruptive to people's lives, and it's like the more you look at it, the more you get invested in, the more you get sucked into it.
Oof.
And it's so hard to come out of it.
It is.
Because you got to portray someone you're not. You know how hard that is? To portray someone you're not for people who don't care?
Yeah. For people who don't care. They don't give a shit at all. You know what I mean? Like, the dopamine high that we get for a double tap is insane, bro.
But Bob, think about this though. Think about this. It's designed that way.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
No,
When you know, the Facebook creator, the Instagram creator, which are all connected, right? In their mind, they sit in the room, they're saying,
double tap it.
yeah,
Double
that's
tap.
that's what they want.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. How many likes can they get? Right?
Yeah.
Who's commenting on their stuff, right?
And they got us going crazy trying to raise those numbers, and it just
to portray something that's an illusion.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Right? And for everybody that's listening, right? Let's talk about it. We're in the topic. Out of 100 people that like your stuff, how many are really
gonna be there for you?
Or how many you could call and be like, man, I'm having a bad day right now? Probably 2 or 1, maybe.
If that.
Probably none.
And even if you can talk, who's to say that those person even have the right intentions for you?
They're not going to hold that space for you.
Yeah, or even not spread your rumors or spread your information. And it's a nasty world out here, man. And social media has been a big reason why it's been covered. I don't want to say covered up because that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's not. It's been. They put a blanket over it. It's just like it's a filter. It's
And I'm more concerned for our kids, right? I'm more concerned for the next generation coming up, right? Because they're already struggling. So imagine now to put that on top of them, saying you got to be this person, you got to the most liked, the most popular. To put that pressure on them while they're struggling with inner issues.
Stuff. I watch my youngest, right? I got an 8-year-old, and the way he consumes content on the internet and on social media and YouTube and stuff like that is a lot different than the way we did when we first started on social media. If you realize all the ways that we create content nowadays are made for people with very short attention spans. That's why these YouTube shorts, these reels, they're very short. If you can't capture your audience within the first 2 seconds of whatever it is that you're putting out there, it's considered bad content, which in reality, it's not the truth. It could be great. It's just not given it enough time. What it's doing is it's shrinking our attention spans.
Nice and easy.
Yes, it's crazy. But I've watched my 8-year-old son literally in my room on my TV with YouTube watch YouTube shorts for 6 hours one day. Dude barely got up to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
We were chilling in the house. It was one of those days. We weren't doing nothing. I was over here playing my Xbox. My other son was over here chilling, and he was in the room. 6 hours, bro. All he had was pizza rolls, some juice, and he was just nonstop. 6 hours of YouTube shorts, bro, just scrolling. And I'm like, where is this going, bro? And like, he can't, I don't even know how to judge it. I don't know how to analyze it as a parent. But I could tell you right now that I feel in my heart, in my soul, that somewhere down the line, this is going to be a problem.
Oh, it's already a problem.
It's going to be a problem. It might be 10 years down the line. I don't know.
Think about now where most adolescents are struggling with social skills.
You're right.
Listen, I deal with adolescents, right?
No,
in every
right.
capacity, right?
Yeah.
Mentoring, mental health, and having a conversation with them is hard. Why? Because they don't have conversations with humans. They're on computers, they're on iPads, they're on laptops, they're on phones.
Their attention spans are gone too.
They're not having conversations, right? They're not having deep, like we're having deep, they're not having deep conversations.
They can't even indulge in it. That's insane, man.
Right? But real quick, mental health, right? Please, if you're struggling with mental health, if things happen in your life, if you're depressed, like don't let people put you in a box where you are weird, you are crazy, you can't get the help. There's help out there. Yeah. You got to just go out there and find the help. And I know it's hard because when you're dealing with mental health issues or disorder or you've been diagnosed with mental health, in your mind, the last thing you want to do is go and talk to a stranger about it.
Yeah.
But that's what's needed. You can't hold it in. You have to be able to let it out, right? And going back to what we've been talking about this whole time, right? Just growing up in the projects, right? Growing up in that environment where it's like you have to be a man.
Yeah.
Right? Or you really,
tough
you can't talk about things and emotions. Yeah. Like that's all a stigma. I want you to be emotional intelligence. I want you to talk about your emotions. I want you to cry. I want you to feel. I want you to know when you're sad. I want you to know when you're happy.
And know how to handle it.
And know how to handle it. And know how to manage it. That's how you get through life. Yeah. You don't get through life hiding things. You don't get through life internalizing and saying,
talk to him.
No, Bobby can't know I'm depressed. Why can't you go get the help that you need?
Social media. Social media.
In your environment sometimes.
Yeah, in your environment,
Your environment sometimes. Yeah. But this is to everybody that's listening that's gonna hear this. If you or anyone are struggling with, just be kind to that person.
Do you have any resources that you can shout out?
Yes, big time. The Passion Care Center.
Okay.
There in per Fanboy, 187 for Yes Street. That's what I'm working with now. You know, and then also, if you enhance and elevate life coaching.
Okay.
They help with life coaching and mentoring. That could also kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resources. You can reach out to me. A lot of people reach out to me via social media. I have a website, enhanceandelevate.com, where there's resources there, there's services there. There's a lot of resources.
Is the Enhance and Elevate, is that the men's empowerment thing you've been working on?
Yes, that's the men's empowerment and life coaching.
I want to talk about that a little bit because, the importance of manhood, masculinity, just men in general, this is a tough subject to talk about, especially on a platform like this where people are going to see it. Our value has been diminished over time.
Yeah.
I think that's a general statement. I'm not saying anything in particular. I'm not going to point out anything in particular. But obviously you chose this field because it's something that's important to you.
Very important to me.
Let's talk about that a little bit because I feel very strongly about it. And I know you had an event a while ago and I had committed to go, but then I forgot it was like somebody's birthday weekend or my niece or something and I couldn't make it. I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about your stance on men empowerment and just men's mental health in general, because it's something we don't talk about. Man,
when I tell you, man, I never seen something so powerful than having 15 men in a room pouring their heart out. That's how many we had last event.
Wow.
15. Pouring their heart out freely, talking without judgment, asking each other for help, connecting stories with each other.
Yeah.
Trying to find resolution to issues that they have in common.
Yeah.
Right? For me, the goal is to try to empower as many men as I can to break the stigma and cycle that we are only protector and providers. We also should be loved, right? Yeah. We also should be able to have emotions. We should be able to be looked at as in regards to emotion-wise, to not be put in a box where if we are emotionally intelligent that we're weak. Yeah. Right? We should be able to express ourselves. We should be able to freely talk and have conversations with our partner, with our kids, without having to dumb it down and be like, well, don't see me crying. Always be a man. I feel like that does more damage than anything.
In the long run, for sure.
In the long run, when I've been told, don't cry. That
man up.
All you're telling me is hi how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
That's all you're telling me.
Yeah.
Hide how you're feeling, hide your emotions, go somewhere, and then, on your own.
Then cry. Then do what you got to do.
So
basically telling you to, I don't want to say it, but it's like telling you to go kill yourself, basically. It's a horrible way to put it, but.
No, it's mostly telling you go deal with it on your own.
And you need help.
And I think going back to what you were saying with this man empowerment event, which I'm going to make sure you come to the next one so you can see it yourself.
Yeah.
It's how do you get men to be in a room that had hard times, that struggle growing up, struggle with being a father, struggle with relationship issues, and say to them, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And you won't be judged.
Yeah. That's tough, man.
It's powerful.
That's tough.
And I want to be able to always be a light to those that are struggling with darkness.
Yeah.
Right? I want to always, like, if we're talking about legacy, I want my legacy to be like, man, he went through some stuff, but man, he came out on the other side. He inspired me. He motivated me. He helped me. And I didn't even have to do anything to kind of like, give him, he wasn't asking for anything back. He was doing it from his heart, from his passion.
Yeah.
It's just about, Bobby, leaving that legacy, not only for your kids, but for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You want people to look and be like, man, Bobby, man, he did some great stuff.
He made an impact.
Man.
You left your footprint. You left your mark on the world.
And that's priceless, man. Your story will continue. Your story will continue to live on.
You get it.
You
get it.
So for any man out there that's struggling, man, reach out to me. Reach out to Bobby. Like, let's stay connected. Let's talk more. Let's open up more. Let's break that stigma that we have to be a hard shell. And if we open up, we're weak and we're soft. We're not living in those times no more.
Nah.
We're not.
Not at all.
And we got to get on board with what's going on now because our kids are going to be affected.
And that's stuff that when you learn these type of messages and information that you can process, it's up to us to teach it to the next generation, to our sons, especially to our sons, because those are the legacy carriers. Those are the ones that are going to carry your name, that are going to carry your life's work, that are going to live your legacy, you know, and that's important, man. So as men, we have to come together. We have to start being stronger.
And empower each other.
Yeah, we do. There's a lot.
Look how you I sitting here like.
Yeah, and all that hating and like it's so unnecessary, dude. Especially when we're all pretty much fighting the same battle. We all come from the same places, the same backgrounds. You know, we have different issues, different things like that. Everybody's life it's its own fingerprint, but. You know, we definitely have to come together and have conversations like this, you know. And the fact that you have the resources and the platform to do it, I commend you, brother. I think you're doing great work. You know, and anything that I could do to help support it, you know, I'm 100% on board. With that being said, I want to give you this time to talk about anything you want to talk about, anything you want to bring to light, and promote whatever you got to promote.
No, of course. Most of the people know me already, and the ones that don't, all my books are on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. My next book I'm working on the title is Putting the Broken Pieces Together.
Okay.
And if you see, all my titles kind of have, right?
They have this
catchy,
yeah. There's a theme to it.
Yes.
There's a theme to it.
And the reason why it's like that, Bobby, is because we could all connect to every title.
Yeah.
Right? A second chance. Who doesn't want a second chance? Right? Or how many people on the third, fourth,
Bro,
fifth,
I'm on my 17th chance.
Even though my book is titled Second Chance, you know how many chances I needed?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Today?
No, I get it.
But it's just connecting the dot and making sense of everything that we're going through. Man. Yeah. Like turning a mess into a message. Like just because you feel like you're a mess, just because people telling you that you're a mess, doesn't mean you can't turn into a mess.
You ever thought about rapping?
No.
The reason why I say that because this is a nice.
I have a funny story about that, bro.
This is a nice play on words right here. The whole message. If you look at the root of it, that's a nice play on words. You got wordplay, dude. You got it. You got.
Well, as a writer, as an author, you have to.
Yeah.
Right. Even with the next book, right? Putting the broken pieces together.
Yeah.
The
title of it.
The visual of it is puzzles that can't connect.
Got you.
And then towards the end, they're connecting.
Got you. Okay.
How many people are walking around with broken pieces?
No, everybody, bro.
They don't know how to put together.
Everybody is out here.
Put them together, bro.
I'm gonna say something, man. Everybody is out here dealing with some shit. You know what I mean?
I'll be the first one to admit it if you guys need somebody to admit it.
I'm a mess. Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a mess, but
life is a journey.
Yeah.
Life is a journey, and I'm trying to push my wife to write a book, and we're like going back and forth with the title. But I know one time she was like, "The Journey Within."
Yeah.
And I'm like, the journey within.
Yeah. Your internal journey.
Everybody has a journey.
Yeah.
It's within yourself.
It's internal.
Like, it don't have to be anybody. Yeah. It's your journey.
And everybody has an internal battle.
And the question is always, Bob, what you going to make out that journey?
Right? So is she going to write it?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay.
Her husband's an author. She might as well, right?
Yeah.
And listen, and even with that, it's a process, right?
Yeah.
Like, people think, you write a book and that's it. No. Listen, everything in these books, I have to live with the fact that it's going to impact people.
It's out there now. It's in the world.
It's out there. I can't hide it.
It's published.
Right? It's published. I have to be able to be okay with it.
You got to stand on that.
With whatever I wrote in there, whatever I went through in there, I have to be okay with some people not being able to be receptive to the information. And most of the time, it's like this, right? Some people can't give you credit for where you at because they still stuck where they at. Yeah. And you both came from the same environment. Same
exact circumstances. Different mindsets.
Different mindset, right?
Damn.
Believe in your dreams. We all have dreams. How much do we believe in it?
Yeah.
Right? For me, I always wanted to be the opposite of negative.
Yeah. Positive.
I want to be a positive person. So everything I do, Bobby, from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to sleep, I just want to make an impact on one person. I want to be positive. I want my post to touch somebody. I want somebody to read it and be like, man, yeah, that's what I needed.
That's awesome.
And I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah.
I know that, and for me, when I was very young and immature, it was like, I want everybody to like me. And now
that was important.
Now, if one person says, Edison, you changed my life. Man,
that's enough validation.
I'm okay with that, man.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm 100% okay with that.
That's awesome. So anybody you want to shout out in particular?
Oh, man. Shout out my whole family. I want to shout out my wife, man. She's a true warrior.
Shout out to your wife. I know your wife
Jennifer
personally.
been there
awesome.
since day one. She has a testimony herself, and we've been through so much.
She's empowering women, too. So
yeah, she's doing the same thing.
Yeah,
for
shout
females.
out to her. You guys are that's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Shout out Blessing from Above.
Okay.
This is a nonprofit. We do book back events in the community. Try to stay active. Shout out to the whole team. Just shout out to everybody that been in my life, that played a part in my life. Listen, I'm going to say this, and I want you guys to listen to this very carefully. I am not who I am today because of me. First, God, and then everybody else that believed in me. Without them, I would not be here. I would not have this confidence. I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for those people around me that loved on me, that never gave up on me. And, of course, me having faith in God that he will take me through whatever I'm going through and I will come out on top.
Amen.
So I can't take the credit myself.
That's amen. Amen to that.
I have to give a shout out to everybody that somehow played a part in my life to who I am today.
Salud, brother. That was beautiful. So with that being said, I want to thank you for joining the podcast, brother. Man. It's been a long time.
Hey, listen, I'll go another hour, man.
I wish we could. I
appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
YouTube constraints, they're a little funny sometimes. But I want to thank you again for coming on the podcast. I want to thank everybody watching. If you guys can, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Put the little bell notification and all that good stuff. So whenever we drop videos, you get that notification. Share it to your friends, all that good stuff. And make sure you guys follow Edison. Where can they follow you at? Man,
listen, Instagram, Edison Jaquez Speaks. Facebook, Edison Jaquez. Website, enhanceandelevate.com. Google Edison Jaquez. All my information, resources is there. Get in contact with me. I'm ready. I'm an easy person to get in contact with.
There you go.
Here to help you out. Here to just give you life and, continue being somebody that is inspiring to other people.
Awesome. So make sure you guys tap into the network. Stay in tune. And, I'll see you guys the next one. Love y'all.